Hello students, welcome back to our channel Tejas Classes. I hope you are all doing very well. Friends, in today's session, we are going to learn about the new religion that has emerged by the end of Vedic civilization, that is Jainism. A very important topic, and you can expect a good number of questions in your upcoming examinations. So let's don't waste the time and start our session today. Before starting our lecture today, please join our WhatsApp group where you can find quizzes and PDF materials which will help you for your preparation. As well as please like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel. This will encourage us to post more and more videos. And also join our Telegram group where you can ask your doubts and solve all your queries. Which we are going to see are reasons for decline of Vedic civilization, rise of Jainism, its doctrines, and its contribution towards the welfare and development of society. Jain literature and how it is different from the Sanskrit literature, that is the Vedic literature. Jain architecture, an important topic. You can interlink this topic with the another important topic like monuments and places of India. Next comes the important MCQs from the previous year question papers. From now, I'll also be providing the most important expected questions which will be helpful for your upcoming exams. I'm preparing this content with utmost care and I'm following the standard books which are recommended for very famous examinations like UPSC. The books are R.S. Sharma's India's Ancient Past as well as the NCERT textbooks of class 11th 12th history. These two books are very important. If anyone wants to purchase the books, I would recommend you people to go ahead with it. Before learning in detail about the Jainism, let us quickly revise the Indian history classification. This will help us to recap what we have learned in the past, what we are learning now, and gives us a brief idea what we are going to learn in the near future. Our Indian history is generally classified into three parts: ancient history, medieval history, modern history. And ancient history is again subclassified into five parts. The first one is a prehistory Harappan civilization. We have completed this and we have seen the various stone ages as well as the Harappan civilization. What is the other name for Harappan civilization? I need an answer from all you. If anyone knows the answer, please mention in the comment section. What is the another name for Harappan civilization? It is Indus Valley civilization. So we have seen the rise as well as the decline of Indus Valley civilization. Immediately after the decline of Indus Valley civilization, we will be entering into the Vedic age. In the Vedic age, we have seen how Aryans have invaded in India, how they have changed the social and political systems. We have seen the early and later Vedic phases. By the end of Vedic age, there were emergence of two new religions which had showed a great impact on the social structure of our civilization or society. What are those? They are the Jainism religion, and next comes the Buddhism. These two religions were very famous religions. It actually showed an impact on the social structure. In fact, it has changed the social structure of civilization which was there in the Vedic civilization. So we'll learn in detail about Jainism in this today's session. We'll be learning about Buddhism in the next session. And you might be asking a question, sir, what about Mahajanapadas? These Mahajanapadas period is also contemporary with these new religions. Okay, we learn about them also subsequently with these videos. And after then we'll be entering into the Mauryan period. Then after post Mauryan period, we'll be learning about the Gupta and the post Gupta period also. So by this we'll complete our ancient history. Then we'll shift to the medieval history. Let us see the factors which were responsible for the decline of Vedic civilization. The first and foremost thing is the Mahabharata. Yes, the very important one, the Kurukshetra Yuddha, is considered as the primary reason for the decline of this Vedic civilization. The battle between the two Kshatriya clans, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, has resulted in complete destruction and devastation of the entire Vedic civilization. By the end of this war, only 40 to 50% of people were alive. Remaining all the kingdoms, the dynasties, and the Aryan people which they have built over a period of time were completely collapsed. As a result of this, the population were decreased, and due to this population decrease, the culture, the tradition, the beliefs, and the ritualistic domination of the people were also collapsed. So we can consider this Mahabharata as a primary reason for the decline of Vedic civilization. Guys, this session is not enough to explain you in detail about the Mahabharata. So I'll recommend you to please watch the Mahabharata movie or the Mahabharata stories. This will give you a glimpse on the topic and will clear all your confusion so that you can proceed further with the other topics. Next, the Brahmin dominancy. We all know that the post-Vedic society was clearly divided into four Varna system. Those are Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. We all know that. But though these Brahmins were given the higher status, they were allotted the roles of the teachers and priests. They were allotted the functions of the priests and teachers. But they have claimed the highest status in the society. They demanded several privileges, including those of receiving gifts and exemption from the taxes and punishments. So, by seeing this ritualistic domination and Brahmin domination, remaining all other Varnas were dissatisfied. They too wanted this special status. Again, as these Brahmin principles and the ritualistic principles. So, for any activity, they need to do some rituals and they need to do some sacrifices. In return, they need to give something to the Brahmins. People were very much dissatisfied and tired of these principles and rituals. They wanted a new religion so that all will be treated equally and the system will be very simple. The Brahman system has become very complex over a period of time. Next come the Shudras. These people were treated very badly. They were given the lower position and they were treated as slaves. No, they had no respect and social status in the society. They also wanted a better life. Next come the Vaishyas. Though Vaishyas are kept above the Shudras, there was no importance to these people. They lived on the trade, they lived on the agriculture, they lived on the cattle rearing. According to Vedic literature, these Vaishyas are treated as a very low people because the people who lives on the interest of the money which they get are treated as very low people. So these Vaishyas are in search for a new religion or they wanted a new religion so that they'll get the importance and they also a better status in the society. Next comes the women discrimination. By the end of this Vedic civilization, the women discrimination has reached to its peaks. In the early stage of Vedic period, women were given much importance. They were allowed to participate in all the events. They were main decision makers and they were also allowed to do some rituals. But don't know what happened by the end of this Vedic civilization due to the advent or writings of a Vedic literature. These women were considered as a source of misery. Basically, the daughter was considered as a source of misery, and this led to the women discrimination. These women were not allowed to participate in any meeting. They were allowed to do only the household work. So this has also resulted in the dissatisfaction among the women. Kshatriya people were the rulers and they fought in battles. These people were very much tied with the ritualistic domination of the Brahmins. These people were also worried about the Brahmin dominancy, their principles, their cultures. So sometimes these Brahmins also demanded territory in the name of tribute or in the name of donations. So these Kshatriya people did not like it. They also led a small protest in against these principles. They demanded that the status should not be decided by the birth, they should be decided by the work where they do. Next comes the spread of new agriculture economy. Guys, what was agriculture in the early Vedic period? In the early Vedic period, what was the source of economy? It was a pastoral economy. We know that. But coming to the later Vedic period, it has shifted to the agriculture. But what was the main problem for the agriculture in this period? It requires the cattle. We had a cattle, Aryans were a pastoral people. But what happened to the end of Vedic civilization? Due to these excess rituals and sacrifices by the Brahmins, the cattle strength has drastically decreased to a low number. Apart from this, these Shudra people have also killed the cattle for their food. So both these actions have led to the decline in the number of the cattle. So there were no cattle for the agriculture and people faced it very difficult. And the advent of this new agriculture economy, people were not habituated with and unsatisfied with. All these factors combinedly add up for the decline of Vedic civilization. Rise of Jainism. Let us see the various reasons that has attributed the rise of Jainism and why Jainism has become so popular and attracted by many people. The first thing is the Vedic religion was highly ritualistic. We have seen due to the continuous rituals and various sacrifices, common people are fed up with these ritualistic practices. Initially, Brahmanism, that is Brahman religion, was very simple and very pure. But over a period of time, this Brahman religion or Vedic religion has lost its purity and it has become more and more complex. Every time for any activity to perform, there were some regulations, there were some restrictions to be followed, and in return, they need to donate or give something to the Brahmins. So they all were fed up with this kind of practices. Next comes the language. Guys, what was the language of the Vedic literature or Vedic religion? What language did the Vedic people have followed? They have followed Sanskrit. Right? They have followed Sanskrit. And this particular language was very difficult to be understood by the common people or the normal man. And apart from this, Shudras are not allowed to read the Sanskrit and not allowed to do the rituals. Only the three upper classes, that is Kshatriyas, Brahmanas, and Vaishyas, were allowed to read the Sanskrit. But though they were allowed, they could not understand each and everything. This was very difficult and it was not accessible to each and everyone. But the language of Jainism, the Pali and Prakrit, these are the languages which were easily understood by the common people. This easy language made the people attract towards this Jainism. Next comes the accessible to the people of all castes. Jainism was open to all the people, each and every person in every corner of society were allowed to join the Jainism. All the people are treated equally irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, color, gender, all the people are treated very equally in this Jainism. Next comes the role of Chandragupta Maurya. Guys, can anyone please tell me who is this Chandragupta Maurya? He is the king, he belongs to the Karnataka region. What happened in his later days? He handed over his kingdom to his successors and he has opted the Jainism. So indirectly it had prompted the Jainism in the southern area. So this was also one of the reason for the spread of Jainism. Next, now we have seen the causes of rise of Jainism. Basically, due to the dissatisfaction of the Vedic people with the ritualistic practices and Brahmin dominancy, they were in search of a new religion or a new culture where it will be very simple for their daily life. So at that time, Jainism has come into the picture. Obviously, people will opt this religion. Next comes the origin. So like Buddhism or any other kingdom, this particular Jainism religion is not founded by one single person. It was founded by a succession of great teachers. These teachers are also known as Tirthankaras. Very important, guys. In the Jainism, Tirthankaras are very important. The founders, the preachers, and the developers are known as Tirthankaras. And totally there were 24 Tirthankaras who had actually contributed to the rise of Jainism and spread of Jainism. And the first Tirthankara was Rishabhanath, and he is also known as Rishabhadev. The first Tirthankara was Rishabhanath. A very first who has founded the Jainism is Mr. Rishabhanath. He belongs to a noble family and he was born in Benares. He was born in Benares, the present day Varanasi. Okay, very important bit, guys. And 23rd Tirthankara was Prashavanatha. 23rd Tirthankara was Prashavanatha. You might ask a question, sir, you have not explained the between from 2 to 22 Tirthankaras. Is it not necessary? These are not necessary, guys. Okay, for exam point of view, these are not very important. You'll be asking the questions relating to this only. Okay, the first Tirthankara because he has founded the Jain religion, and the 23rd Tirthankara because before the introduction of this Vardhaman Mahavir, he was the main person who has actually propagated the Jainism religion. So he is very important. Next comes the real founder of the Jainism. He is attributed as the real founder of Jainism and he is no one but Mr. Vardhaman Mahavir. Vardhaman Mahavir is considered as the real founder of the Jainism. He is the 24th Tirthankara of the Jainism. Next, Tirthankara was Kshatriyas by birth. All the Tirthankaras who have spread the religion were belonging to Kshatriya family. Even the first Tirthankara Rishabhanath belongs to a Kshatriya family and the famous Vardhaman Mahavira also belonged to a noble Kshatriya family. Mostly born in eastern UP and Bihar. All these people were born in eastern UP and Bihar area. So we have seen, right, the Vedic civilization where it has developed in the upper Gangetic basin. So obviously this Jainism has also grown in that area. Very important, guys. Please Remember each and every point which I am stressing on this session. Okay. Let us know about the real founder of Jainism, Vardhaman Mahavir, the 24th Tirthankara, a very important person. He has actually made a lot of contribution for the rise of Jainism and made several changes. Mr. Vardhaman Mahavira was born in 540 BC in Kundagrama village near Vaishali. Where he was born? He was born in Kundagrama village near Vaishali around 540 BC. These dates have no written evidences, guys. These were taken and these were assumed as per the literature of the Jainism. His father was Siddharth. Vardhaman Mahavir. See, initially his name was Vardhaman only. Okay. Initially his name was Vardhaman. After attainment of enlightenment, his name was changed to Vardhaman Mahavir. Okay. We call him as Vardhaman. And Vardhaman's father is Siddhartha. He was the head of Jantrika clan. He belongs to the Ikshvaku dynasty. He belongs to Ikshvaku dynasty. His mother was Trishala. And his mother has relation with the famous king of Magadha Empire, Bimbisara. His mother has relation with the famous Magadha king Bimbisara, and he was a king of Magadha Empire during the reign of this Vardhaman Mahavir. And Vardhaman Mahavir was a married person. See, he was a married person, and the name of his wife is Yashoda, and they had a daughter also whose name was Anoja or Priyadarshana. Initially, Mahavir led the life of householder, but in his quest for the truth, he abandoned the world at the age of 30 and became a ascetic. At the age of 30, he has become an ascetic. That is, he has renounced his home. He left the home, his relations, his kingdom. And he wandered 12 years in many places and observed self-mortification. He wandered 12 years from one place to one place and not staying over a day in a village and not more than 5 days in a town. So during this course of his long journey of 12 years, it is said that he has never changed his clothes and abandoned all the remaining clothes which he had. So this was the thing at the age of 30 when Vardhaman has renounced his home. So after 12 years of penance, at the age of 42, he attained omniscience, that is Kaivalya. Through Kaivalya, he conquered misery and happiness. Because of this conquest, because of this attainment of enlightenment, he is known as Mahavira. Now, he was attributed with the name Mahavira. Vardhaman became Vardhaman Mahavira. He is also known as Great Jina. That is the conqueror. The meaning of the Jina is conqueror, and his followers were also known as Jainas. These followers were known as Jainas. So the name Jainism has came from this particular thing. He is also known as Jitendriya, that is, who had conquered his senses, also known as Nigrahanta, free from all the bonds, and Kevalin. He preached his teaching for 30 years after his attainment, that is, the attainment of enlightenment. He propagated his religion for 30 years, and his mission took him to Koshala, Magadha, Midila, Champa, and elsewhere. So after propagating his teachings at the age of 72, Vardhaman Mahavir died at Pava near Rajagruha. This Pava place is also known as Pavapuri. So this is the timeline of Vardhaman Mahavira. Born in 540 BC. Okay, at the age of 30 renounced his home. At the age of 42 attained his enlightenment. And at the age of 72 he has died. This is the timeline of Vardhaman Mahavira, and very important. And I have a question for you guys. I have one question, simple question for you. Do you all know about the Mahavir Jayanti? We have a public holiday on that day, right? See, this particular Mahavir Jayanti belongs to this Vardhaman Mahavir only. Okay, he was born on 14th April, Thursday. So this particular day is celebrated in recognition of this Vardhaman Mahavir only. We also call it as Mahavir Jayanti. Now let us learn about the doctrines of Jainism. Jainism has taught 5 doctrines. The first one is the Ahimsa, do not commit violence. Second one is the Satya, don't tell a lie. Third one is the Asteya, don't steal. Fourth one is the Parigraha, do not hoard. And fifth one is the Brahmacharya, observe continence. It is said that only the 5th doctrine was added by Vardhaman Mahavira. All other were added by the previous teachers. So only the fifth doctrine was given by Mahavira. Very, very important, guys. You might be asking a question like, what is the doctrine provided by Vardhaman Mahavira, or Brahmacharya is provided by or preached by which Tirthankara? So you might get a question like this. Next, Mahavira rejected Vedic principles. Very important, Mahavira rejected the Vedic principles ritualistic society. He did not believe in God's existence. Mahavira did not believe in God's existence. Instead, he believed in karma and transmigration of the soul. These are the two things which he seriously believed, the karma and the transmigration of the soul. Guys, one more thing, a very important point to remember. Vardhaman Mahavir did not believe in God's existence, whereas the Jainism religion, as after the death of this Mahavira, they have believed the God's existence, but they have kept them below the Mahavira, that is the Jina. They have kept them before the Jina. Advocated a life of austerity and non-violence. Vardhaman Mahavira has followed a life of austerity and a non-violence. That is, he had observed the complete nudity. He has not worn any clothes throughout his life, and observed strict non-violence. Stressed on equality but did not reject the caste system. Guys, very important. Buddhism has rejected the caste system of the Vedic civilization. Though Vardhaman Mahavira has rejected the Vedic principles, he did not condemn about the Varna system which was existing or prevailing in the Vedic civilization. Why? What was the reason? According to the Mahavira, a person is born in a high or in a lower Varna as consequences of his sins committed or virtues acquired by him in his previous birth. Mahavira looks for human values even in a Chandala. See, even in a very bad person, he looks for a human values. And according to his opinion, by leading pure and a meritorious life, members of these lower caste can achieve the liberation, and no ritual is necessary for such liberation. So he believed that it can be obtained through the right knowledge, right faith, and right action, which we learned they are the three jewels of a Jainism. Okay, so the basically Jainism, that is a Mahavira, is stressed on equality but did not condemn the Varna system. Asceticism was taken to a great length. Starvation and nudity are the main features of the Jainism. Starvation, nudity, asceticism. Very, very important. Self-mortification was expounded. Self-mortification was expounded. Now we have seen the Mahavira teachings. Now let us see the three jewels of Jainism, which are very important, three Ratna. You will get a compulsory question on this topic. You will get a compulsory question on these three jewels. The first one is the right faith, having the right knowledge, and performing or doing a right conduct. That is the observations of these all five O's. What are the three jewels? Having the right faith, learning the right knowledge, and behaving in a right conduct. Observance of five O's. These doctrines of Jainism and three jewels are very important, guys. Please do remember. Now, let us learn about the Jain literature or texts. Okay, we have seen the Vedic literature, and what was the Vedic literature called, guys? What was the Vedic literature called? They were known as Vedas. Right? We have seen it. Vedic literature were known as Vedas. But what about the Jain literature? They were known as Agamas. Jain literature is known as Agamas. Very generally, this Jain literature is divided into two parts. The first one is Agam literature. The second one is the non-Agam literature. The Agam literature consists of many texts which are sacred books of the Jain religion. They were written in the language of Ardha Magadhi. Language of Jain literature of Agam text is written in Ardha Magadhi. It was a form of Prakrit language. We have seen Pali and Prakrit are the languages of Jainism, and the Jain literature, that is the Agam literature, was written in the language of Ardha Magadhi. It was a form of Prakrit language. And coming to the non-Agam literature, it was a commentary and explanation of Agam literature. It was a commentary and explanation of Agam literature. The Vedic civilization, similarly, we have seen about the Vedas, right? For the Vedas, for the Rig Veda, Sama Veda, we have Brahmanas as an explanation. There are the summary of the Vedas or texts which have written in one volume. So similarly, the non-Agam literature are generally the commentary and explanation of Agam literature. And it consists of independent works compiled by various ascetic and scholars of Jainism. They are written in many languages. The Agam literature was written in Ardha Magadha language, whereas non-Agam literature was written in different languages. The first one is a Prakrit, Sanskrit, see, they have initially opposed the Sanskrit language, they have bought the Pali and Prakrit language also. But over a period of time, they also started writing in the Sanskrit language with the influences of other kings present over that period. Next comes the Apabrahma, Old Marathi. We have already seen. See, due to this Jain literature, it has promoted the growth of Marathi language. Rajasthani, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada language, Tamil, German, and English. These many languages in which the the Jains have written their literature. Okay, and Jain literature is generally consists of 45 books or 45 parts. In that, there are 12 angas. Very important, guys. There are 12 angas. Angas means we'll call it in English as limbs, and 12 upangas means upa angas means sub limbs or support limbs. We have 10 parikarnas, we have 6 Cheda Sutras, 4 Mula Sutras, 2 Sutras, and Granthas. See, in the Vedic literature, we have seen how many hymns we have got in each Veda, and how many Vedas are divided into how many parts. Similarly, our Jain literature is divided into 45 things. The first one is the 12 Angas, the second one is the 12 Upangas, and next follows on. These are very important, guys. This number is important, okay? So, they'll ask a question like, how many Angas are there in the Jain literature? So, answer is 12. Now, let us see the spread of Jainism and who has contributed a major role. It was admitted to both men and women. See, I've already explained you, Jainism was open to each and every person in every corner of the society. Everyone is treated equally and there were no any restrictions and no ritualistic practices. So, it was very simple when compared to the Vedic literature or a Brahman religion. It preached its teachings in Prakrit, language was very easy, spread to South and West India. It has spread to South and West India. We have seen there was a famine, so there was split in Jainism. We'll be seeing in next slide. Okay, in the 4th century, spread to Kalinga and Odissi. So in the 4th century, it has spread to Orissa. In 2nd century, it has reached to Tamil Nadu southern side. See, in 4th century they have reached the Kalinga, but around 1st century only it enjoyed the patronage of Kalinga king Kharavela. In the 4th century they have entered Kalinga. In the 1st century the kings accepted the Jainism language and supported them. And who was the king at that time? Kharavela. So after the 5th century, monastic establishments called Basadis were set up in Karnataka. In Buddhism, we can see the stupas, Buddhist stupas. In Jainism, they were called as Basadis, and they were built in Karnataka. So you will be encountering a famous place in the Karnataka known as Shravana Belagola, Karnataka. There we can see the highest statue of this Jainism of Bahubali. Okay, we'll be discussing in Jain architecture. Now let us see the split of Jainism. This Jainism was very popular and going in very smooth way. All the people were very interested to join the Jainism. So till now it was all okay. And after the death of Mahavira, okay, we have seen around 487 BC Mahavira has died. So after 487 BC, around after 200 years of death of Mahavira, there was a famine. There was a deadly famine in the Magadha region. This is the Magadha region. There was a deadly famine. It went on for 12 years. Famine was for 12 years, and the Jain people who have belonged to here, some people have thought that they will move to the south for their survival. For time being, they have started to move towards the south. They thought that after the famine, we'll again come back to the Magadha period. So the people who went to the south were headed by one person known as Bhadrabahu. He was the person who has led the people who went to south. And some people have stayed back in Magadha only. They thought that okay, it is fine with us, we'll stay back in Magadha only. And the person who has headed the people who are living in the north area, that is the Magadha region, is known as Tulabahu. These two persons were the main preachers or the leaders of the Jainism at that period. So, what is the kingdom? Magadha kingdom. See what happened after this famine was totally completed. These Bahadur Bahu team, South Indian people who have gone there, they have returned to the virginal place. Magadha Empire. So after coming there, they have observed differences in the practices of this North team, Tulabahu team. They have lectured the rules and regulations of the Jainism. So they have started wearing the cloths. These people, the South Indian people, were very angry. They have said that even in the difficult times of famine, we observe strict rules and regulations of Jainism. But you people, rather than observing the I mean, they're following the rules and regulations. You have violated the rules, so it is not correct. There was a clash between these two people. There was a clash between this Bahadur Bahu team and Sula Bahu team. So, in order to resolve this dispute, they have conducted a meeting in Pataliputra. They have conducted a meeting in Pataliputra. The present day it is known as Patna. Okay, in Patna they have conducted the meeting. But to this meeting, this Bahadur Bahu team has not attended and they have boycotted the meeting. They have said that we will not be mingling with you. You have violated the rules and regulations. So till this solution is resolved, we are not going to join you. So at this point of time, this Jainism has split into two sects. This Jainism has split into two sects and they are known as Shvetambaras and Digambaras. Jainism, the major sects were Shvetambaras and Digambaras. These Shvetambaras were the people of north. So they are wearing the white clothes. And the Digambaras who went to south, so these were become Digambaras. So this is the story of the split of Jainism, and there were again a splits in the Jainism over a period of time. Similarly, we have seen in the Vedic civilization, right? Initially they were only tribes, then they have become the Janas. After Janas, they have become Mahajanapadas, kingdoms, dynasties. Okay, and the Varna system. In Varna system also, again there was a division in the basis of caste system. Similarly, this Jainism also over a period of time they are slowly inclining with the Brahmanism principles. Okay, this was one of the reasons for losing popularity of Jainism religion. And what was the major subsect, guys? Maula Sangh, Bisapant, Terapant, Tarapant, or Samayapant. So these are the major subsects of Jainism. Subsects are nothing but castes of Jainism. In Hindu religion, we have different castes, right? Similarly, in Jainism also, we have different subsects. And this is one famous thing known as Terapant. You might be come across this name Terapant Bhavan in many places. So this Terapant Bhavan is nothing but the one of the caste community of the Jainism. And what are the main minor subsects? Guma Panta, Tota Panta. These are the minor subsects of Jainism. Jain councils. These Jain councils are nothing but the meetings that were held by these Jain community people. There were two main Jain councils held. The first council was held in 3rd century BC in Pataliputta, the present day Patna, and it was presided by Sulabahu. Second council was held in 512 CE in Vallabhi, Gujarat. In the area of Vallabhi, Gujarat, second council was held and it was headed by Devagrindi. Devardi Gani has headed the second council. And in this particular council, we have already seen the Angas, right? The Jain literature. These 12 Angas were compiled in this second council. Very important. Very, very important, guys. So here you can see the meetings where Digambaras and Svetambaras, they held the meetings and discuss about the Jainism principles, rules and regulations. Next, the contribution of Jainism, how Jainism has contributed towards the welfare and development of society and what new languages it has offered to our society. It adopted Prakrit and Pali languages. So, till Vedic civilization, Sanskrit was a famous language, and now after Jainism, Prakrit and Pali languages have become very important and they were accessible to each and every person. The religious literature was written in Ardha Magadhi. We have seen, right? The Agam literature was written in Ardha Magadhi. It is a form of Prakrit language. Many regional languages developed out of Prakrit languages. This is the main contribution, guys. Jainism, many languages have been developed. Shauraseni, Marathi. Shauraseni is a form of Prakrit language and it led to the development of Marathi language, and they also made a great contribution to the growth of Kannada language. They also made the language of Kannada very popular. Now comes the Jain architecture. Very, very, very important. We can interlink this topic to the monuments and places of India. Because in monuments and places of India, we see the sites, right? Jain caves, Buddhist monuments. So we are going to discuss some of this in this session. And here I have given a picture for you. Can anyone please recognize this picture, guys? What is this temple and where it is present? Please mention in the comment section whoever knows the answer. I'll give you the answer in the last. So, Jain architecture is generally divided into three parts. The first one are the Laina or Gumfas. Laina or Gumfas, they are nothing but the caves. The second one is the statues. The third one is the Jainalaya, that is temple. Alaya means temple, right? Jainalaya means Jain temples. In Layas or Gumpunas, what are the important ones? Ellora Caves, Maharashtra. Very, very, very important. Ajanta and Ellora Caves are the National Heritage Sites. Okay. Ellora Caves, the cave number 30 to 35 belong to the Jainism. Mangi Tungi Caves in Maharashtra, Gajapanta Caves in Maharashtra, Udayagiri Kandakiri Caves in Orissa, Hathi Gumfa in Orissa, and Sitanavasala Cave in Tamil Nadu. These are the important caves of Jainism. Guys, this is very important because you are parallelly learning about the monumental places of India. So you are learning two topics at a time. Next, statues. I've already explained you there was a statue, there was a famous place in Stravana Belagola, right, in Karnataka. So it is a statue of Gomateshwara, or it is also known as Bahubali statue, present in Stravana Belagola, Karnataka. Okay, where see, this is the statue. It is present in Stravana Belagola, Karnataka. Anyone gets a chance to go there, please visit this particular Gomateshwara statue. Next, statue of Ahimsa, that is statue of Rishabhanath. It is present in Mangi Tung Hills, Maharashtra. Next, the Jinalaya, the temples of Jainism. Dilwara temple. See, this temple is the Dilwara temple. Okay. This particular temple is the Dilwara temple, present in Mount Abu, Rajasthan. Next comes the Girnar and Palitana temple, Gujarat, and Muktagiri temple in Maharashtra. These are the important Jainism monuments, places, temples, statues, guys. Very important. Okay, please take a screenshot. I'll definitely be providing you the PDFs. Don't worry about that. But meanwhile, you just revise this, go through once. Okay, it will be easy for you. Now comes the MCQs. Till now, we have learned each and every point regarding the Jainism. We have seen the origin, we have seen the Jainism founders, we have seen the literature, we have seen the architecture, we have seen the various places and promoters of Jainism. Now, let us practice the MCQs, which will improve your learning methodology. Because till now, we have seen the Jainism, right? You will not be remember after closing this video out. So let us practice some MCQs so that it will make a great impact on your remembrance. The first thing is I've given you the answer, guys. Who is the first Tirthankara? Very easy. Who is the first Tirthankara? Mr. Rishabhanath. I've given you the answer, no issues. Now, who is the Tirthankara mentioned in the Rig Veda? Now you answer. Who is the Tirthankara mentioned in the Rig Veda? The answer is Mr. Rishabhanath. Rishabhanath and Mahavira were the two people whose names were mentioned in the Rig Veda. Very important question. Prasavanath belonged to which state? Prasavanath belonged to which state? So, who is he? Who is this Prasavanath? 23rd Tirthankara. Remembered? So, to which state he belongs? He belongs to the state Varanasi. That is Benares. Now, Mahavira received Kevalya at the bank of which river? This question we have not discussed, right? So now we have got this. Mahavira received Kevalya at the bank of which river? Very important. The answer is Rijupalika. Rijupalika. So on the bank of Rijupalika river, Mahavira has received Kevalya. That is the enlightenment. See, the answer is Rijupalika. Now, which is not a source of knowledge according to the Jainism? According to him, which is not a source of knowledge? See, Pratyaksha, yes. Anuman, yes. Vedas, sayings of Tirthankara, these are the knowledge of Jainism. Vedas, no. Strictly they have rejected the principles of Vedas. So answer is Vedas. See, yeah. Which is not a part of Jaina's Three Ratna. We have seen, right? The Three Ratna, three jewels of Jainism. What are they? We have seen in English: right faith, right knowledge, right conduct. Okay. So which one is right? So right Gyan is nothing but knowledge. Right Archana means right conduct. Darshana means right faith. So which one is omitted here? Samadhi. Answer is Samadhi. Jain literature is how many Angas? See, I have told you, no, this Angas question is very important. Jain literature is how many Angas? We have 12 Angas and 12 Upangas. The first conference of Jains was held at first conference. Where it was held? Pataliputra, Patna, and it was headed by Stalabahu. It was headed by Stalabahu. Okay, first conference. Where is the second conference held, guys? Second conference. Remember? Please mention in the comment section. Very important. Just now I have told you, no? In the Jainism, the two sects are. In Jainism, we have seen the split of Jainism. What are those? Digambar and Shvetambar. Next, the Jain migrated to the Mysore in the 4th century BC. Who has led them? So this is also again the question from the split of Jainism. Who has led them to the south side? Mr. Sorry, where it is? Bhadrabahu. Bhadrabahu has led them. See, the north Stalabahu. Next, let us see the one-liners so that it will give a quick summary or the quick recap of things what we have learned in the previous slides. At what age Mahavira attained Kaivalya? At the age of 42. So at what age he has renounced his home? At the age of 30. When he was born? He was born in 540 BC. Very important. What does the term Tirthankara mean in Jainism? What does the term Tirthankaras mean in Jainism? It is the founders and preachers of Jainism. Who is the first Tirthankara? Rishabhanath. Priyadarshini, the daughter of Mahavira, was married to whom? We have seen that there was a daughter for Mahavira. Her name was Priyadarshini. And she was married to one of the famous and one of the very favorite disciple of this Mahavira. He was Jamali. Okay. What does the term Nigrantha mean? We have completed 3. What does the term Nigrantha means? Ascetic group. Who founded the Nigranthas? See, who has founded the Nigranthas? Varshavant. 23rd Tirthankara. So next question. What is Ajvikas? What is Ajvikas? It is sect of Jainism founded by Gosala Maskriputra. It was a sect of Jainism founded by this particular person. What are the 3 Ratnas in Jainism? Again a question from 3 levels. Right faith, right knowledge and right conduct. Okay. Next. In which language Mahavira gave his first sermon? Very, very important. In which language Mahavira gave his first sermon? In Pali language. He gave first sermon to his 11 disciples. Okay. And these 11 disciples are known as Gandharas. Okay. In which language? Pali. Where was the second Jainism council held? Just now I have told you. Vallabhi in Gujarat. What are the religious texts of Jainism called? What they are called? Agnas. How many types are there? There are 2 types. Agam literature, non-Agam literature. Biographies of the Jain Tirthankaras are known as Kalpa Sutra. Very important. We have not discussed it, right? Biographies of the Jain Tirthankaras are known as Kalpa Sutras. Through this, we will come to know about the various activities and the contributions of different Tirthankaras. The last question, I guess you can't see it. Let me read it for you. At the time of Mahavira, who was the king of Magadha? Very, very important. See, I have explained you clearly. See, there was a split in the period, and at the time of Magadha, there was a king of Magadha region, and this king is related to the Vardhaman's mother. Okay, and he is Mr. Bimbisara. Bimbisara was the king of Magadha Empire during the region of Vardhaman Mahavir. Guys, now we have seen the complete information of Jainism along with the MCQs taken from the previous year question papers, and these are very important for your upcoming examinations also. That's all it for today's guys. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching the video till the end. I wish you have got the sufficient knowledge and also the MCQs for your examinations. Please, if you like the video, please like, share and subscribe our channel. It will be encouraging to us to post more and more videos like this. Have a great day. Bye.